do they resurrect Tony Stark and he eats cheeseburgers with his daughter to close it all out? Maybe. I don't know.
Mm.
Marvel likes undoing all the sadness that they give you. So when bad things happen, like, don't worry, they're probably gonna fix it for you. Welcome back to Nerdy and Nice. It is the greatest pop culture podcast ever. And we are so glad that you found it. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We're going to talk about a lot of the news going on in movies and TV that we love to nerd out about. We also do have a Star Wars podcast called The Resistance Broadcast that comes out Thursdays and on podcast apps Friday morning. So if you are a Star Wars fan, check out The Resistance Broadcast. That's our other show here under the TRB banner on its own podcast feed. Please be sure to subscribe to that. But for all the other stuff, you're in the right spot. Mondays are for the nerds. It is Halloween week. We are ready to go. And by the way, Star Wars fans, TRB is going to be on Wednesday live this week because of Halloween Thursday. So if you're looking for TRB live, Wednesday night, we're going live, and it'll be on your podcast apps on Halloween. So you can go trick-or-treating. You go out trick-or-treating with somebody you don't like very much. You pop in your AirPods, listen to TRB as you get your candy, and away you go. But here we are. So, Lacey, we have a couple things to get into at the top. The first being a clip you saw going around about Kerry Russell reflecting on her experience making Mission Impossible 3, which means her experience working with J.J. Abrams, who we love on this show, and the biggest movie star of all time, Tom Cruise. So you found this clip. What about it struck a chord with you, and what was your takeaway from Kerry Russell looking back on MI3, which in my opinion, I think really launched MI into a legitimate big time intellectual property after missteps from a John Woo Mission Impossible 2.
I first of all found it interesting because she brings up J.J. Abrams. They're really close friends, I believe. They've done a lot of stuff together.
Oh, Felicity. Yeah.
Yeah. So I found it and sent it to you, John, because she does mention JJ like casually. She's like, "Oh, me and JJ were talking," and blah, blah. And then the way she talks about him, they specifically talk about a stunt and a lot of stunt work, especially Tom and how into it Tom is and how crazy he is and how good he is. But she kind of talks about the relationship between her and JJ and then her and Tom, specifically about this one shot where she catches a gun and then goes around the corner and starts shooting around, like shooting people. And the way she describes it, I just found so funny. It made me laugh out loud, where she's talking about how she's about to do the shot and JJ's like, "Okay, we'll just kind of fake flip it to her and then we'll do some type of CG or something and get the gun in her hand and then she'll shoot." And Tom's like, "No, she's going to do it." And he's just like, "No, no, no, no." And she's like, "I don't know, Tom." And Tom's like, "You're going to do it. I'm going to do it right now and you're going to do it." And that sounds just like Tom. Like, Tom doesn't want to do CG. He wants you to do this stunt. He wants you to jump out the window. He wants you to jump on the train, stay in the car when it's rolling down a hill. Like, that's Tom. So the story, the way she explains what happens and gets into, so she did it in one take. Tom goes, "Okay, we're just going to do it once, see if she can do it, and then we'll move on." And he tosses her the gun and she catches it and does the whole thing. And she said, "I did it in one take." And it was just the pride you see on her face that I loved. And I think she's an amazing actress. I love her. So I just found it really funny. Did you like the clip?
Yeah, I do, because I love J.J. Abrams, and everyone knows how intense Tom Cruise is and how passionate he is about making movies and creating this incredible suspension of disbelief for audiences. Like, I hope he isn't as passionate about Scientology as he is movie making, because this guy, like, when you hear Tom Cruise, say what you want about Tom Cruise, when you hear the man talking about movies, I don't know that there's another person I've heard talk more passionately about their love for movies and making them as I have heard Tom Cruise talk about it. So,
and Greg Grunberg said that on TRB when we had him on.
Yeah, right. I actually have to go back and listen to that again, and we also have to have Greg Grunberg back on TRB. But it is cool hearing her talk about this, because it's I know it's movie making, but it's one of those examples, especially as a dad, like today, actually, a good example. My daughter Daisy was like, "Can you help me put my boots on?" Because they're a little complicated for a 3-year-old. Um, and I'm like, "You can do it. Let me show me you can do it." She's like, "No, no, I can't. You help me." I'm like, "No, you do it, and if you need help after, I'll help you." And then she did it, you know? And it's
Mhm.
just like it's that whole thing about just believing in somebody and letting them know that you're not waiting for them to fail.
It's the
And
trust in
yeah,
someone being able to do something, yeah.
and it probably for the rest of that set, I don't know what point in the movie that was shot, but it probably gave her a lot more confidence with other stuff she was doing. So I think it's a nice clip, very cool. And anytime you hear good stories about J.J. Abrams, I'm always going to sign up for it. So very
Mhm.
cool. Thanks for sharing that
Mhm.
one. Um,
Mhm.
Now, before we get into what's happening, we did poll our audience, and now this was a scientific poll. It can be used in peer-reviewed research. So just so you know that if you want to spread the word on this, but we polled our audience and we said, Marvel fans, we want to know what is your excitement level for Avengers Doomsday, and Avengers Secret Wars compared to how you were excited heading into Infinity War and Endgame? Now the options were lower, the same, or higher, and the results were 74% said their expectations were lower than Infinity War and Endgame.
Mhm.
20% said the same, and only 5% said higher. Now,
Mm.
we had a couple comments. I told people we'd give them a shout out, so we will do that. We had our buddy Jake Berlin, who was with us on TRB at Qui-Gon Jake. What's up, Jake? How you doing, buddy? Check him out at the Whiskey Jedi. Jake is a good dude. Jake said, it's only lower because the setup and lean in are a bit different and unknown. Once more properties that connect the dots start coming, I'll be hyped. And that's absolutely fair. It's still early in the process.
Mhm.
Then Justin Jones at Pirate JJ04 said, subject to change based on the characters involved. Doom is a great villain, but we need great heroes. And the Fantastic Four is not enough. These movies need to go big. We're gonna get some stories later that might fuel that for you, Justin. And then lastly, we had Sanj Schmosby, the Tequila Man, said it's lower than Endgame and Infinity War as the buildup hasn't been as strong. I'm looking forward to mutants and Fantastic Four being introduced into the MCU. So as of now, at least with our audience, almost 3 out of 4 fans of Marvel have lower expectations for the next pair of Avengers movies than they did Infinity War and Endgame. Surprised there, Lacey, or is that what you were expecting based on just how big Endgame was? Is it impossible to live up to that?
I don't think yeah, I agree with this poll. I'm not that excited about it. I don't know if I'm just marveled out at this point. I didn't like how Endgame went. It kinda left me not feeling great about it, but the hype going into it was, who's gonna survive and where do we go from here? And, so it just feels at this point like that story's been told, and now it just kinda feels like a cash grab to me. Like, it doesn't feel genuine. Whereas I feel the other stories, even though they were coming from Disney and obviously they're multi-million, billion-dollar productions, it felt like it was all building towards something, and that something has happened. So now it's kinda restarting, but it's never gonna be good as the original.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I think that's the vibe. We'll see. You can never doubt Kevin Feige until he really drops it, and he hasn't really yet. So we'll see. But thank you to everybody who participated in that. But now we're going to get into our main stories of the day. So Lacey, take it away.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Enough, I get the point.
Well, as they said in Deadpool vs. Wolverine, there's only been one Blade, and there's only ever going to be one. And that is 100% the case currently. Because according to Boris Kitt from The Hollywood Reporter, he said, breaking, Disney Marvel officially takes Blade off the release calendar. It was due to open in 11/7/25, and in its place will give a theatrical release to the new Predator movie titled Predator Badlands. So this is big news because this was one of the movie projects they announced years ago, before 2020, I think, like 2019 was it that they announced this?
Oh, yeah, around probably, yeah.
And it's kind of been, will they, won't they? What's the status? What's going on? And then they had, Wesley Snipes, the original Blade in Deadpool versus Wolverine. And it kind of left everybody feeling like now it feels weird to have a new Blade because this is the Blade that everybody likes. And now all of a sudden it's not happening anymore. I'm not surprised. I felt like it was one of those things that they jumped on and they were like, clearly we're going to remake this movie. And you weren't really sure how it fit, like we were just talking about, into the bigger scheme of things, into the bigger Marvel story. And that's to their own fault at this point. Marvel's based their story in a way that like everything interconnects, which then if you have these random offshoots that might be in the universe, you can't make random movies and shows anymore. They all have to fit into the bigger plan.
Right.
Yeah, I just think that they couldn't get this to work. I think that they were trying to make this movie for, a fan favorite movie. The genre is different than the normal Marvel stuff. And then I think also they were looking for a new project coming off of Black Panther, for more diversity in their slate. Away from a Captain America or a Tony Stark, and it never came to be. Now they have the new Captain America that's kind of filling that void, I think. But yeah, I don't. What do you think about it? Are you sad that they're not making it anymore? Are you surprised? Do you think they're gonna keep making this movie eventually, or you think it's done for?
I mean, removing it is a tough look because then when you bring it back, it's like, well, what was wrong with it before? So if they return to it, I imagine it would have to be like new cast, new people, set to direct or whatever. And look, the Blade trilogy with Wesley Snipes was successful, but it wasn't successful the way Marvel movies are successful today. Like the first Blade movie made $130 million. And yeah, that was in 1998, so that'd probably be like 250 now. That's not cutting it. So I don't know what the audience is for Blade. I'm sure there were other elements that went into it being removed at this time, but they reportedly anyway, I don't know if it was official, forgive me, but Mahershala Ali, two-time Academy Award winner for Moonlight and Green Book, was set to play Blade. I mean, he's 50 now. He'll be 51 in a few months. I don't know, like, how old Blade's supposed to be or whatever. But there's a picture of him right here on his bio at the 2019 San Diego Comic-Con. And Lacey, he's wearing a Blade hat there. So
it was 2019.
Yeah.
Man, am I good. Some of the details I know.
5 years. 5 years, and there it goes. So
he was coming off Luke Cage too. He played the villain in Luke Cage.
Yeah,
it was a weird choice for not that he's not good. It was a weird choice for me because they went from a very seemingly popular show on Netflix to then say, okay, he's now playing this character. And I remember I was like, wait, what?
Yeah,
he was just in Luke Cage. He had that amazing shot where he's like in front of the Notorious B.I.G. poster and has the crown on his head.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful shot. People use it all the time. Yeah, I was very surprised that they cast him, but at the end of the day, didn't he just win the Oscar?
He won in 2018, so the year before, and he had won one in 2016 as well. So dude's one of the best. He's going to be just fine. But he was probably looking for his, franchise character or something, and he'll find one. He will find one. It's not Blade. It'll be something else. Maybe even a new character that he can say, this is my character, sort of like how Ryan Reynolds took Deadpool and ran with that. So we'll see. But Blade, no more as of now. Who knows where that goes from there? But yeah.
Nice. Staying on the Superman thing, which is often where this show starts, at least. We always kick it off with some Superman. Not Superman, but superhero stuff, but also Superman. James Gunn was just at New York Comic Con this past week. John and I unfortunately didn't get to go. Maybe we'll go next year, but this year we didn't go. But we were very surprised a couple days prior when we found out that James Gunn was going. We were like, oh. And there is a lovely thread online from @DCU Brief. I want to give them credit. They put together all the details of everything that was released and or talked about during his panels at New York Comic Con and what he said. Everything ranging from stuff about Black Beetle and other characters and where they fit in, talking about how Peacemaker season 2 is shooting right now and it's almost done. He said, quote, "It's a very different season, very magical." The big details for me were around the studio stuff and specifically Superman, because we've been a big Superman podcast lately, just because we're both very much interested in it. But it's kind of the big kickoff, I feel, of James Gunn DCU. Like, this
Oh,
is the
it
big
is.
piece that's gonna set the vibe for the rest of his time at DC Comics. So I'm going to run through a couple of the details here. So he said that the Superman trailer will arrive relatively soon. He said, quote, "It won't be too long, but it won't be too soon."
Super
He
Bowl?
said that what?
Super Bowl? Superman? Super Bowl?
Ooh, probably. That would be clever because Superman Super Bowl. Yeah, that would be very clever. It would make more sense than Solo. I'll tell you that. Um, he said that Krypto the dog plays an amazing role in Superman. Quote, "He's an incredible part of the story. He came into the screenplay and kind of changed everything up." He said that the Superman is currently in the process of editing, and he said the edit is going really well. "I feel really good about the movie." He said that Alan Tudyk has a secret role in Superman. Could he be voicing someone? Is he playing someone on camera? Maybe, maybe not. Going into other projects, he also says that Supergirl is going to start filming in January 2025 in the UK, and he announces some casting for that. And then he says that he worked with Tom King and created the initial story for Lanterns together. That's been a big thing across the internet, and we talked about it recently. Yeah, he's seen a couple people screen test together. He's looking to see where it goes. But overall, I feel more details than I've seen any other studio come out with lately of what their plans are moving forward. So, per usual, John, how you feeling about James Gunn? Is there anything that sticks out to you here? What can you take from here, and what do you want more of?
I think what's cool about James Gunn is that he clearly is a CEO, so he has to be an executive, but he's an artist first and a creative first. And I like how, I mean, it makes me nervous when he said that the DCU is not going to live by one aesthetic and each movie's
Oh
going to
yeah,
have
he
its
did
own,
say that.
have its own like artistic feel. Because I was picturing this one universe, and I hope one movie doesn't, if it's in the same story, doesn't look vastly different than another. But maybe he means like animation style or like action sequences or something. I'm not too hung up on that, but he's clearly a commander of what's going on, but he also is clearly giving people freedom to stretch their wings in terms of how they're making this stuff. He's not micromanaging, but at the same time, he's clearly creating structure and doing this in a very organized way where all facets are driving in the same direction. And you don't see that a lot, especially when you're trying to do this big, massive, multi-medium connected story, to the point where he's like, look, we're going to pull in some things from DCEU, but they're going to be mentioned. They're not going to continue on. And he has no problem picking and pulling things. And I like the fact that he's not afraid of his audience either. This guy speaks with conviction, and he's like, we're doing this, not because I'm worried about you being upset at that, or I'm saying that because I want you to be excited about it. He's like, we're doing this because we want to do this. And that should always be step one. Whether you're a musician, you're a filmmaker, make what you want to make what you want to see on screen. And then hopefully people like it, as opposed to what we've been hearing about those focus groups and the response to the hate last week about how like, well, we better not do this. Oh, we better do that because they're seem
genuinely
to like that.
scared, of fans.
James Gunn is like, we adopted a dog. Superman had a dog, and we just added it and we changed the thing. We wanted the dog, and he's doing it. So he has that power as CEO of DC. But I think it's cool that we have a filmmaker in charge of his studio. This is basically as close to, you know, George Lucas owning Lucasfilm and making his movies. Is James Gunn being the CEO for DC and him being the guy making the movies, or at least executive producing this whole thing. I feel so good about it. I got to dig a little deeper because even some of these characters, I'm like, ooh, I'm not too familiar with a lot of these. But I am all in out of the gate with Superman, and I like the updates that he provided.
Yeah, I have a lot of trust in what he's doing just because he's speaking with such conviction of the choices that they've made. The not matching aesthetic thing that he said, I'm kind of okay with because I think the look of these movies are going to be different from character to character based on, you know, a Superman movie is going to look brighter and kind of more comic book than maybe like a darker story of someone that like something that's going more gritty, I would say, than like the wholesome family vibe that we're getting from Superman. But I just love how he's just so transparent. Like he hides nothing. And if he doesn't have an answer for something, he's like, yeah, we don't have an answer right now. Like
Yeah.
he has nothing to hide. And I feel like everything you're getting from him is open, is genuine, is from a place of care, passion, and a love for filmmaking and the DCU. I think that it's in good hands and it's in a place that I'm excited to see where it goes. And I'm not even the biggest DCU fan. I would say I like Marvel way more than DCU, but currently I'm more interested in the DCU. And it's kind of shocking to me that I am, given that there's a plan. It's amazing how you feel as a fan when there's a plan in place of what movies are being made, by who, why, they're already written, what's going to happen, what's next. Because I feel like that's something that's really been suffering in other franchises like Marvel, like Star Wars, other IPs, where it just feels like they're just constantly pivoting and changing their mind and too many people are involved. And what's like James said, no, this is my team. This is who's making these decisions. We're making them from the beginning, and that's what we're doing. So I really appreciate that. I'm disappointed we missed him at New York Comic Con, but maybe next year. But yeah, sticking along kind of the web, wink, wink, or thread of where we're going. Tom Holland joins Matt Damon and Christopher Nolan's next film. And also in the article with The Hollywood Reporter reveals that he'll appear in Avengers Doomsday. And he's expected to film for that in between the Nolan movie and Spider-Man 4, which Holland revealed starts shooting next summer. And I know one of the things recently that was going around the internet is how did we talk about this on Nerdy and Nice? We might have, about how he said that he was unsure where the script was going. Yes.
It needed work. Yeah, it was almost there or
needed,
something.
yeah, it needed work, which is very similar to the discussion we had on TRB about Daisy Ridley's evolving comment about the Ray movie. But you're a big Christopher Nolan fan. Are you interested to see what this next film is, or are you more pumped for Avengers Doomsday? Because I can tell you right now, I haven't seen the last Spider-Man, and Spider-Man's my favorite superhero, by the way. I haven't seen the last one. The last two, actually. I haven't seen the last two.
Interesting.
I haven't seen the one where he goes to like Rome or whatever with what's his name? Jake.
Did you?
What's his name? Oh my god, blanking. He's a very popular actor. Dated Taylor Swift. Oh my god, what's his name?
Gyllenhaal?
Yes, thank you. Him. I haven't seen that one, and I haven't seen Far From Home.
So you saw the one with Michael Keaton?
I did see that one. Yeah. I thought that was good.
Yeah, that was good. They've all been pretty solid. Actually, I felt like the third one I didn't like because it was a little too much. But I'm glad that he's sticking with it and he still wants to make these, so that's good.
It makes him happy, and his love story with Zendaya, I can't fight it, you know?
Yeah, and he did speak with, I think it was Today Show or one of those shows again recently in addition to this article, and he elaborated a bit more where he was like, our script isn't finished, but we know where we want to go with it enough so that I can say we are doing it and we're shooting next summer. So I feel like they are at the 1 yard line and they just got to punch it through, sort of thing. It sounds like they just want to make sure it's, you know, finished and polished the exact way they need to tell a fourth, because doing a third sequel, you know, and making it good does not happen often. We can go through the franchises, but we won't. But we know the examples. It's rare for a franchise to have a fourth movie still be as good, and that's what they're looking to do, you know. So the only comment I have about it, though, about him confirming his appearance in Doomsday, which should be no surprise. He's obviously still with Marvel. He's making Spider-Man 4. Why wouldn't he show up in this? Especially he's still so young. Is it? I don't know how much he's going to be in it, and I just wonder how much of this next pair of Avengers movies is that big one more let's show everybody that's ever been here thing, and is it going to be too bloated and too crowded for us to care? And how much of the old characters how are they going to impact the story? Are they coming back to die? Like, I gotta understand what's going on in these Avengers movies, because if they're bringing back the old Avengers, like 10 years ago they came out, and also have this next wave of heroes, I felt like Endgame was crowded. So if we start like generationalizing this and bringing everyone in, and are they going to bring in all the Spider-Men too? Like, how many people are going to be in this to the point where it's going to be sick on opening night, because we're going to get the crowd reactions in the theater of all the crowd pops with all the cameos, but will it sustain? And will they be able to make a great movie that is not designed for the big pop and the buzz of the box office, but in 30 years you can go back and say, like, that is a great comic book movie? I don't know.
Like Deadpool. I think Deadpool did it really well.
I think Deadpool did it really well, and we'll see how that sustains. But I think the Hugh Jackman element there added weight to it that it will. I don't know. About the Avengers. We polled our audience before about their hype on it. How much will it take for people to get hyped to the point where it matches Endgame? I don't think that's attainable. So I'm very curious about what happens with the Avengers right now. Like we just talked about, I'm more excited about DC. I've always been a DC guy, though. And I'm not a person who's like, oh, it's DC only for me. Like, if Marvel's good, I'll watch it. I love the Guardians movies. I love Iron Man. There's movies I really love from the MCU. I'm just curious what this is going to look like. You got Robert Downey Jr. as a villain now. I have to imagine Tony Stark is going to also come back. If they're bringing back Downey Jr. to film as the villain, they're going to do something with him as Tony Stark, whether it's in a flashback. What does that mean? Do they resurrect Tony Stark and he eats cheeseburgers with his daughter to close it all out? Maybe. I don't know. Marvel likes undoing all the sadness that they give you. So when bad things happen, like, don't worry, they're probably going to fix it for you. But
are you interested in the Christopher Nolan film? So they don't have many details of it. It's still under wraps. But they have a release date of July 17, 2026. And it's his next film, obviously after Oppenheimer, which won him the 2 Oscars for Best Picture and Best Director.
I'm always going to be interested in the Christopher Nolan movie because he always introduces like very thought-provoking topics. And I think I'm not the biggest Matt Damon fan, but
Matt Damon. That's all I think about every time. Every time I hear his name, I see his face.
Poor Matt Damon.
Trey Parker, Matt Stone have ingrained it in my brain that anytime I see it, that's what I think of.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
And
it's just so stupid.
And Tom Holland's fine too, but ultimately, like, when it's a Christopher Nolan movie, it's Christopher Nolan first. And I like so many of his movies that I'm at least going to be like, ooh, what is that? Let me find out more. Someone explain the plot to me, but I'm going to go see it.
It made $976 million.
Oppenheimer, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Big time. Big time.
Did you watch it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like it's, first of all, not my topic of choice, which is hilarious given what I'm going to talk about at the end of the show. But that being said, I heard it was really long. Like it's like 4 hours.
It's long. Aldrin Ehrenreich has a small role in it, and he's great.
Is he? Oh,
Yeah. But
he's
yeah.
someone that I just want to see blow up. I really want to see him get like Glenn Powell energy attention.
Really?
That's what I want for Alden. I really want that attention for him.
I just want him to play Han Solo again.
I mean that too, but I want to see him be super successful and get a lot of money and have attention.
Yeah, he's directing small films now, so I think he's going the right route. But yeah. What else you got?
We have The Hunt for Gollum won't be 2 films, but a second Lord of the Rings film is incoming, is how they're reporting it on Empire. This is interesting only because I feel like the story around The Hunt for Gollum keeps changing. Yeah, I don't know what to make of this outside of like, okay, I'll believe it when I see like a trailer for it or see some type of plot or where they're going with this. I feel like with Lord of the Rings in general, Amazon has, I believe, the rights to Lord of the Rings, or they're paying the estate to use it because of the Ring of Power thing. And they're not really sure what to do because it hasn't been long enough to remake them, the Lord of the Rings films. Plus, they're absolute effing perfection. You can't take those films from Peter Jackson and be like, yeah, let's remake it. It will never, ever be good enough. It's like, no joke, if Disney came out and said, we're redoing the original trilogy. Like that's the level of perfection you're looking at with the original Lord of the Rings. They shot them all at the same time. They, did them all together. The effects, the costumes, all the sets in New Zealand. Like, you can't do that again without it just being like a cheesy remake. So the only thing that I have a kind of eyes for with this Gollum film is that it does include Andy Serkis. And I think if it didn't, I'd be like, this is stupid. Why are they doing this? But because he's on board, yeah, we'll see. The story did originate, it's saying from an interview with Sir Ian McKellen that there's going to be 2 films, but they're saying that is actually not accurate. John, I know you're not a big Lord of the Rings person. Are you interested in this movie at all? And what are your thoughts about kind of like seemingly messiness around these films?
So is Philippa Boyens writing it? Because she's the one who confirmed that it's only one movie, and
she's a Lord of the Rings screenwriter.
Yeah, she wrote all the movies. She wrote the first trilogy, and she wrote the Hobbit screenplay. She also wrote King Kong in 2005, which I liked, and the Lovely Bones movie.
So she likes to work with Peter Jackson.
She likes to work with Peter Jackson. She also likes to really pull at your heartstrings. Jeez. Yeah, I like that it's just one movie because I think people still had a bad taste in their mouth with how much they stretched out the Hobbit across.
Oh my gosh,
a trilogy. So Andy Serkis directing, I think that's awesome. He's going to have so much fun bringing that character back and capturing it the way he knows how he should be captured. So I think that's awesome. I think that's a no-brainer. I think that's a smart move. So I'm interested in it. I've seen all the Lord of the Rings movies, and I went to the theater to see them. So I could be pulled to go see The Hunt for Gollum in the theater because I know when it takes place. I know it leads into Fellowship of the Ring. Sometimes when things get so convoluted and down these alleyways of other tangent stories is how I probably think my brother feels when I talk about some Star Wars spinoffs, So I'm going to keep my eye on that. I am curious what the second movie is, but if Ian McKellen thought they were doing 2 for this, that to me makes me think he's involved in whatever this other movie is too. So I wonder how closely that ties into this, quote unquote original trilogy for Lord of the Rings. But I'm interested. I'm not going to rule it out. I don't hate Lord of the Rings. I'm just not as big of a fan as other people are. Plus they killed Sean Bean 30 minutes into the first trilogy. That's a sin. It's a sin. It's a sin.
I knew that was coming. I knew you were going to bring up Sean Bean.
If they made a Boromir movie with Sean Bean, I will be the first person on Fandango to buy my ticket. I was about to say first person in line, but they don't really have those anymore.
They really don't. But let's get into some trailers because I think that's it for me with the news.
That's it for me with the news too. Yeah. So let's get into trailer time.
Oh God, I love that movie.
Let's get into trailers here. We have 2 to talk about, and I have a feeling we will have differing opinions. But
You don't say.
the first one we don't talk before the show, but there was inferences based on
Faces.
watching these. Yeah. First one is Love Hurts, starring Ke Kwan, Oscar winner, the Comeback Kid, and that hits theaters February 7th. Now, this looks like a movie that is an action comedy. Clearly, a guy who is trying to create a new life for himself after living a life of violence. I'll say this, Lacey, before I want to throw it to you for your thoughts first. This, to me, feels like it's going to be Ke Kwan's Nobody.
Oh yeah, maybe that's why I like it so much.
Which I liked. And if people haven't seen the movie Nobody, it's actually really good and like flew under the radar. And
It was so good. They're making a second one.
They're making it. It wasn't made yet, right?
Yeah, they're making it.
Yeah, and that's with Bob Odenkirk, of course. But yeah, Lacey, your thoughts on the Valentine's date movie of 2025, Love Hurts, the trailer.
I love this trailer. I love the look of this movie. Now, again, it does fall into a similar trailer kind of cut for these types of movies. It's guilty of that. However, I just love him so much, and I want to see him succeed, like all the success in the world. And I want a series of selfies with everybody that goes to this movie and everybody that he's worked with, which he continues to do at every big red carpet premiere. But I think this could be really fun to watch, and it seems like something that will just be a good time. And sometimes movies don't have to be deeper than that. It could just be fun. But now that you're bringing up the Nobody thing, it does look like his Nobody. But it also looks really funny. Really, really nice. I would say not as dark as Nobody. Nobody gets really dark.
Yeah, true. I don't know how dark this one's going to get either. I didn't like the trailer.
Why?
Well, the first reason is I think like 80% of the dialogue in the trailer is spoken by former NFL running back Marshawn Lynch.
I was waiting for you to say that. Honestly, if you had asked me before, like, what your problem is, I was going to say the football player.
But here's the thing, because I saw Marshawn Lynch act in what's that
He's
show?
In Bottoms.
What's that show that show that Will Arnett does where he's scripted as a cop, but all the celebrities he brings in don't have a script and they have to just go with it on Netflix?
Oh, it's the murder one, right?
Yeah, whatever that murder show was.
Yeah.
So Marshawn Lynch was on it, and I thought he was like really entertaining, and he did like a really good job. So I've always liked Marshawn Lynch as a player, his personality, but like here we have this Oscar winner. He's getting his first like big lead, and like most of the dialogue in the trailer for his movie is by a former NFL running back who's seemingly one of the main villains in this. I think
he's a villain and then turned good guy. Like he starts off with the bad guys and then teams up with him by the end is what I got from the trailer.
I hope this movie is 10 times better than this trailer, because I also think like it's February 7th, a week before Valentine's Day. The movie has love in the title. It's like it feels a little SEO to me. And also, like, they used the Celine Dion song, It's All Coming Back to Me, which
they used for Deadpool, didn't they?
I don't know if they did, but it made me think of Deadpool, and that was another problem because I felt like they were trying to capitalize on the let's use 80s, early 90s music that is cheesy, but we love it as our backdrop for action scenes. I'm like, this is Deadpool. This is marketing Deadpool right here. They're taking a page out of Deadpool to market this movie, which again, fine. But something about and Meatloaf wanted to sing that song for years. It's All Coming Back to Me, and Jen Steinman wouldn't let him. And that it has Meatloaf written all over it. But here we have Celine Dion singing over Ke Kwan beating the crap out of people. I'm rooting for it to be good because I do like Ke Kwan, but this trailer is not getting me to the theaters, even on a date night, even if I have a free babysitter. didn't do it for me in that regard. So I hope the movie is better than the trailer.
Yeah, the Celine thing is definitely Deadpool, and that's what I thought of when
Oh,
I heard it because they got Celine to do the soundtrack for the second Deadpool. Like she sings the big ballad for him. So I that is a solid, solid point you just made. They are 100% copying the marketing for Deadpool, jumping on this audience because this is their demo, going, we just got to show them that it's like Deadpool.
mm-hmm.
Have them show up. Like they have the girl and the guy fighting together. They're at a bar. Then he's trying to be normal, but then he gets caught up in everything. Like that's Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
That is, yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
So
Um,
Deadpool meets nobody, and
yeah.
Marshawn Lynch, who should have ran on 2nd and goal, but
Why did he quit NFL? Just got
oh,
hurt?
I think he was just like all set. Like he made his money, and he probably didn't want CTE, and he found other
Yeah.
opportunities. Basically, what Travis Kelce is looking to do now.
I mean, the amount of damage you do to your body and brain with football, like I would get out too once I made my money.
Oh yeah, I mean, call me whatever you want. My son hasn't shown interest, but he's not playing football.
I feel the same way. And it's just like I don't want the brain damage. It's like bad.
Especially on a kid. Like,
Yeah,
no thanks.
No. All right, what's the next trailer?
We have The Brutalist, starring Adrian Brody, Felicity Jones, and Guy Pearce, coming out right before Christmas, December 20th. Director Brady Corbett. This trailer goes off the beaten path of that classic blueprint that you were alluding to, that you talked about last week, that you hate. It's a short teaser, but it gives you a look at early 20th century New York and America. And to me, it gave me, I'm not saying it's going to be as good as, but the font style they used, the music they used, the setting, like, was screaming Godfather to me. So that's obviously one of the greatest movies of all time. But it looks like Adrian Brody is back. I don't know where he's been, but he's taking another swing at it here. I love Felicity Jones. I love this 90-second clip. I love the scenery. I think it's going to be beautifully shot, and I'm curious to learn more about it. But the trailer pulled me in just because it felt different to me, and all the praise that they're putting from all the outlets already. This is going to be a movie that is going to be nominated for a lot of Oscars, I think. I could see Adrian Brody, I could see Felicity Jones, maybe even Guy Pearce if it's that good. Best Picture. All of a sudden, Brady Corbett's name is going to become household. I'm interested. It's made me interested. I'm curious to what you think, but I am keeping my eye on this movie because I think it's going to be one of the award darlings.
The first comment on the YouTube trailer, by the way, is this looks like if Megalopolis was actually good.
Oh no. Oh no. Well, there you go, Coppola. There you go.
It just makes me laugh really hard. I did not like this trailer. I am on the opposite side of the spectrum from you, and that's why we're kind of laughing at each other because I loved the first one and you were like, meh. I agree that it has an artsy feel to it, very kind of indie vibe. It's being distributed by A24. A24 is killing it lately in all genres, not just
The artiste's distributor.
they're doing they did the Andrew Garfield romance movie. They've done a bunch of other horror movies. I think they did Long Legs at A24. And now they're doing this. Like they're getting kind of these films that are all over the place. So they're kind of destined to get
Anora,
something.
did you say Anora? That one?
Anora. They're just kind of destined to get some type of recognition in the award season from something.
Yeah.
Because they're putting, distributing so many different types of movies. It looks beautiful. It looks beautifully shot. It has top tier cast. It's probably going to be a great movie. It's just not my type of movie, but I'm more interested to see a normal trailer. And I know how lame that is given my response to I hate the templatized trailer, but give me something that tells me what this movie's about.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's an architect.
Yeah. Yep.
Because the title, but
yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
I mean, in fairness, they did say it's just a teaser, so maybe the next trailer will give you what you're looking for.
Sure. Sure.
But
It looks beautiful though. The settings, the color grading, the shots that they chose. It looks really cool.
yeah, I mean, some of it, like, I remember the shot, like the upside down shot of the Statue of Liberty. It felt like I was looking at someone taking footage of the Statue of Liberty 100 years ago.
Right. It looks like a home video, and then the text over the screen looks like how they used to do credits.
Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
watching this clip, I was like, man, it's like if I watched a new trailer for like The Godfather or something. It was so like the black and white, the white letters, everything.
No, just music, no talking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm at least interested, but I understand your criticism there as well. But let's get into not what we're looking forward to or not looking forward to seeing, what we are seeing in What You Watching.
We can never leave the house, and we'd just probably sit around all weekend and watch TV.
Go on.
Lacey, I am watching Penguin still, and let me say this. Another week passes, and apparently Batman's not going to be in this. I've been
They
talking
lied. They lied to everyone.
Someone lied to me. I don't know. Unless it's one of those double switches where they're like, no, we're going to say he's in it, then say, oh, that was falsely reported. He's not in it. And then in the finale, he's in it. And we're all like, ah.
I would guess that's probably it.
But the show is getting better each episode, but Colin Farrell's being outshined by Kristen Milioti, who I've always been a fan of, but now she's getting like this big spotlight she's in her late 30s now, and she's just starting to really bloom, and she is killing. There's no way she's not winning the Emmy for this or a Golden Globe. I think she is killing it on this show, so much so that I tweeted that she should. Remember, I've been saying like they need a lead female villain in Star Wars for a change, like a big bad. I'm not talking about like an Imperial officer. I'm talking about the big main Palpatine-esque villain.
Right, you wanted it to be like Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver, which she's going to be in Mando and Grogu, who knows what. But I was like, cast Kristen Milioti as the main villain in the Rey Skywalker movie. I'm like, do it. She is such a good villain, such a good actor. She's beautiful, but in like the girl next door beautiful sense. She doesn't look like she's like a supermodel or anything like that. Her personality is great. She's just on point, and I think she's outshining Colin Farrell on this show. But so Penguin, I also, I got the World Series going as this episode comes out. We're 2 games in. I don't know what happened because we recorded this before, but go Yankees, because we're going back to the Bronx tonight for game 3. I'm not going because the prices are outrageous. But
I heard they're nuts.
Yeah, I mean, it's Dodgers Yankees. This is a heavyweight fight. So even if the Yankees are up 2-0 or down 2-0 or it's 1-1, 7-game series or a long series. So I'm all in on Yankees right now, which is why the only other thing that I have watched recently is Woman of the Hour. Now, did you hear about this movie?
Oh, with Anna Kendrick. She said she put it together with like a piece of duct tape.
She directed it. It was her directorial debut, and it's about a true story about this woman who was on the dating game. Where that's the game where the bachelors are on the other side of the wall. Well, I don't know if our audience doesn't know.
Oh,
but
sorry.
The 3 bachelors on the other side of the wall, and she asked them like kitschy, like cute little questions, and they give metaphors for desserts for how they kiss, that type of nonsense. And one of the guys that she was interviewing on the game show was a serial killer. And this is a true story. And she picks him. And then you see what happens thereafter. So it's a true story about this serial killer who was on the dating show, and he got chosen to go on the date. Wild. I'll say this, though. I've always liked Anna Kendrick. Twilight aside, you got to forgive her for that. But she did a good job directing, I got to say. Like, you want to talk about an independent movie?
I saw the trailer for this, and I put it on my watch list. It's like her walking to the car.
Yes. There's a lot of suspense in this. I think it's better for people to know the true story, I think, before watching this. If you are, like you, a person gets very anxious watching stuff
I
like that.
immediately, in my head, I'm going to look up this story before I even consider watching it.
I knew it. And I recommend you do that. Not everybody, but it is very suspenseful. When you know that it's a true story, it just kind of makes you be like, oh, the 70s were bananas.
Wild
People could
times.
get away with anything in the 70s, man. So check that out. Woman of the Hour on Netflix. Anna Kendrick's directorial debut. She stars in it. The guy who plays the serial killer, he looked a little too much like Mike Starr, who's the bass player for Alice in Chains, so I couldn't get that out of my head. But he was really good too. And the movie overall was very entertaining. Like start to finish. It's an easy watch.
Looked good.
I recommend it. Check it out. That's good. All right, Lacey. We know about the baking. We know about the bake-offs. What are you? what are you watching lately?
So I just watched I guess it's the finals of Love Is Blind. Who Gets Married? Are you going to watch this at all or no?
Well, you had told me all the like none of the couples are couples you want to root for, and that usually checks me out.
Okay, well, 2 people end up getting married. Two couples. One couple, it's since
Spoiler
come out.
alert.
Yeah, we knew this was going to happen. It's what you watch, and we're talking about spoilers here. One couple gets married, and the whole time I'm going, no, 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 because it came out that the guy is a straight up liar.
Ooh.
And like the drama is that he told her in the show that he was a sperm donor for a gay couple. No. He has 2 children with 2 different women. And he got married to this girl in the show. And I'm going, this girl has no idea. Because it just came out. You know, they got married a year ago. I was like, oh my God, this poor girl has been trapped in. I don't know. The reunion's next week. So I'll get back to you guys.
Let me ask, do you like then find these people on Instagram to look for hints and that sort of thing?
I mean, I look up reactions when I watch anything to see what people are saying online, to see honestly if people agree with me or not.
Oh, okay. Like Kathleen tries to look up their personal accounts, like public accounts,
no,
to see if they're holding hands with that person or with someone else.
No, I don't do that.
Yeah.
No. I just see what people react to. Oh, I also watched some catfishing movie on Netflix that was wild. I fast forwarded. I didn't even watch the whole thing. I just fast forwarded to the end to see what it was about. And it was so dumb and so insane. I forget what it was even called because it's not important. What is important, guys, what is important is that
wait. So you're like, I want to talk about this. So I almost watched this movie. I don't know the name of it, but check it out. It's on Netflix.
I didn't say check it out. I said I don't even know why I'm talking about it because it's not even worth your time, is what I'm saying. But I just thought of it, so I said it. It came out of my mouth. Welcome to a podcast. What is important is you know what? I should just look it up. I should give people the credit that it's the catfishing movie on Netflix. What's it called?
I bet it's called the Catfish Movie.
Sweet Bobby is what it's called. Sweet Bobby, My Catfish Nightmare. And it's a true story of this girl that falls in love with a man online for 9 years and then realizes that it's not the person she thought it was for 9 years. And basically like destroys her life, which I sit there the whole time going, you're dumb. This is dumb. But I was also a fan of the original Catfish show on MTV. Like I love that show. Which Machine Gun Kelly was on that show. He got catfished.
Before he was famous?
Yeah.
I liked that show early on, but then they got rid of that guy, and once you get rid of like
the main guy,
it's like,
which if we break down what he did, it's not like he was a PI. He went to their town and like went to their house and said, "Hey, are you this person?" And the way that he looked them up was he did a reverse Google search.
Yeah,
like that's all he did.
Oh yeah,
and it wasn't like he was like hacking the system or like doing things that PIs do. It was literally like, hey, I'm gonna take their image and reverse search it and see what comes up.
He was good at Googling. Yeah,
it was so funny. Anyway, so what's most important in this conversation is that I know everyone that listens to this podcast is super excited that the Hallmark Christmas movies have officially kicked off.
Amen.
There are 34 of them. John is highlighting the outro right now as I'm speaking.
No, I'm not. I am not doing that.
He totally is. Look, his hands were just like.
Oh, meanwhile, like private chat when we're live, you're like, my daughter's screaming, so hurry up and finish this show, or I'll kill you.
Wrap it up, bud.
Yeah.
It's like Dave Chappelle, wrap it up box.
Wrap it up. Give me the light.
No, but so Hallmark Christmas movies kicked off this past week, and as anybody that knows me is for the past 7 years of my life, I'm a huge rom-com fan. I love Christmas. So put those two things together, you get Hallmark, and some of their movies are great, some of them not so great, and I've decided to watch every single one this year. There are 34 of them. So I figured every week I would give a quick review of the movies that came out, what I liked, what I didn't like, just really top level, because John's going to be like, demographics, no one cares, Lacey. Whatever. This is what I'm passionate about. Maybe your wife's girlfriends, boyfriends, sisters, aunts, grandmas care.
Bring them into the show.
So, okay. So there's three movies this week, and I think a fun thing to do really quick would be, I'm going to say what the title of the movie is, John, and you're going to guess what the plot is. Just give me like a sentence what you think the plot is. All right?
Okay. Yep.
The first one was called 'Twas the Date Before Christmas.
A single career woman is set up on a blind date on Christmas Eve, and she finds love in unexpected places.
Have you read my reviews?
No.
Oh, so this movie was a holiday blind date, and I'm reading my review, by the way, off the screen, with fake dating. So it was through an app like Hinge or Tinder or whatever. She finds this guy. She basically says, my family's going to cancel Christmas unless I bring a boyfriend, which is insane, but they somehow always bring that up. We play crazy Christmas games. I need you to come. So they sync up. They show up basically blind dating the Christmas activities, the Christmas Olympics. And meanwhile, they have a weird connection where her sister-in-law owns a candle store, and he's an executive at a design building firm.
Wait, are you reading the script right now?
No, I'm telling you what it is. And then he basically is trying to save her sister-in-law's business while also lying to her and lying to the family of who he is. And then they find out that he evicted the sister-in-law on Christmas Eve via email. It was one of the worst ones I've ever watched. I gave it a 4 out of 10. The leads had no chemistry whatsoever, like cardboard. They were like nothing was happening there. They were more in love, I said, in the photo for the movie than actually in the movie. It was so bad. Yeah. So that's where this is going, by the way. I am being honest.
Yep.
The second one. Ready? Here we go.
Yep.
Holiday Crashers.
Two coworkers crash. Former coworkers, they were laid off by the company. They crashed their company's holiday party to try to get back at their boss, and hijinks ensue.
No, it's even more straightforward than that. It's literally Wedding Crashers, but with holidays. So they work at a card store. These two girls, they're best friends, whole life, like besties.
I'm loving my pitches, by the way. I'm gonna go.
Your pitches are pretty on par. Okay, so then the two friends work at this card store, and they have a pile called the shred pile, and it's all the invites that the card store makes for their local businesses, which, by the way, takes place in Westport, Connecticut. They shred all the cards, but before shredding one, take one of each invitation and decide, this Christmas season, we're gonna lie at every Christmas party. And then while she's doing that, she falls in love with a guy, also has, is somewhat of a lawyer, trying to find her way. 8 out of 10. This movie was awesome. It was really well done. I love the actress. I want to make sure I get her name right. Lindsay Fonseca. She's amazing. She's like the quirky, perfect rom-com.
She was the daughter in How I Met Your Mother.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's great. She is just so funny. One of the funniest people on the channel. She has such great comedic. She has some of the best comedic timing. She can have chemistry with a wall. Like, she's very good. That being said, the male lead in this, terrible. So I gave it an 8 out of 10. And that's the problem with Hallmark that people don't realize is you can have an amazing female lead, and if the guy isn't there meeting her energy, doesn't work.
Hallmark, call me up.
No, call me up. I'm giving you mad tips right now. Okay, so then I loved that it was in Westport, although it made me laugh because they were like, Campo Beach, Westport. I was like, that's not an area if you're from here. Like, you don't say, oh, Campo Beach, Westport. No, that's just a location. The way they said it was like it was an area of Westport. It was weird. They said it weird.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, in the first one, they saved the business at the end. And I burst out laughing because the guy goes, talking to his lawyer friend. He's like, what do you say, Don? Why don't we do this? And Don goes, it would be good optics. Because they have to throw in that like marketing business speak. Oh my God. Dying.
Remember when Acolyte did that?
So stupid.
She said, I didn't have transferable skills. I was like, oh.
So stupid. Like, you're standing in someone's house on Christmas Eve at their Christmas dinner talking about their livelihood and like their family business. And he's like, it would be good optics. Just, whoever wrote the script was like, what's a word that they would use? Like, what would the business guy say? Anyway, last one for this past weekend was Scouting for Christmas.
Scouting for Christmas has to be about somebody is planning a family reunion because there's family trouble and they got to get everybody together. They have to get everybody together. Christmas is going to heal them. So they're scouting for the perfect location to hold their family reunion Christmas party.
More straightforward than that. It's a single mom who's a real estate agent. It's Tamara Mori. She's dating not dating, but interested in a baker.
Did she play sister or sister?
She played the mom.
Oh.
And she's a single mom and she's a real estate agent and her daughter is like a Girl Scout.
Oh.
So it's even more straightforward.
God.
Look, the movie was solid. It was enjoyable. It was definitely predictable, which is what I said in my review. However, at the end, she stands up for herself. She stands up for her daughter. So I gave it a 7 out of 10. She was great. What?
Samoa Christmas.
Why?
The Girl Scout cookie, Samoa. And it's like a play on some more Christmas.
But she's not selling Samoas. She's being a Girl Scout. They have like a scout ball or something like that.
It's Italian.
No, it doesn't work that way. Anyway, this one was okay. Male lead, okay. But Tamara was great. And she retweeted me and I was very pumped about it.
That
I was
is
like,
cool.
yay. High five. And that's it. So look forward to these quick reviews every week.
34 of them every
34
week.
of them. Let me know
right.
if you like them. I genuinely want to know. Or say Lacey STFU. No one cares. I like the idea of you guessing it. It makes me laugh. Genuinely.
I think my pitches were good, and I think Hallmark should call me to be a lead because I can have chemistry with anything. So,
are you sure?
I think so. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Thanks,
Chemistry for Christmas. Thursday at 8/7 Central.
Yeah. All right. Thank you to everybody for listening and watching and getting nerdy with us here on Nerdy and Nice, because Mondays are for the nerds, and we hope you kicked off your week with some good times and good laughs with us here, because we know heading into a week, whether it's school or work, sometimes you're like, so we just want to make your day a little more fun and ditch those Monday blues. So thank you all so much. Again, Nerdy and Nice, it's on its own feed. So if you haven't yet, please follow or subscribe on Spotify or Apple, and please rate us if you can. 5 stars. Thank you to everybody who has. We've gotten some really nice reviews lately as well. And Nerdy and Nice Pod on social media. But then also for our Star Wars podcast, TRB, the Resistance broadcast, on its own feed as well. But both shows can be found on video here on youtube.com/@TRB podcasts. We also have our Patreon. If you'd like to support what we do here, we're trying to grow the audience of Nerdy and Nice, as well as everything under TRB. So please check out patreon.com/TRB podcasts. Tiers to support us start at just $5, and it goes a long way to support what we do here, because everything that happens with our shows come from just the two of us. and your support goes a long, long way. So thank you. Special shout out to the movie star generals and the silver screen spice runners. The generals: Carmelo, John Risi, Jetta Rosewater, Frank Grande, Nick Kratz, Chris Morales, Brian Smith, Danny, Mike Rumore, Brendan McLaughlin, Sneaky Zebra, Dave Hornack, Jolton Jedi DiMaggio, Colin Cormier, Stephen Garrow, and Sachi. And the Spice Runners: David Probus, Neil Shaw, Kendall Gelner, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, and the Fortworthian, and everyone in the base, everyone under the TRB family. Thank you all so much. Johnny Hoey for me on social media, and my other movie podcast, Just Like the Movies. We just did Casino Royale, and we're doing Training Day next. Lacey, where can people hit you up to talk about crappy Christmas movies?
They're not crappy, John. People can find me on social media at Lacey Gilleran or on TikTok at It's Lacey Gilleran to talk about all things Star Wars and to see my ongoing thread of all 34 countdown to Christmas movies from Hallmark. I would love to know what you think about those movies and or how I'm doing reviewing them on the show or not. And that's fine too. Also, give me a retweet. Why not?
Who's the darling? Like, who's the
Lacey Chabert?
Is she? She's the number one. She's the big draw.
She is. She is. It used to be Candace Cameron Bure, but then she went nuts on TikTok. So now Lacey Chabert is the one that gets like all the movies. However, she's getting older. Not that she looks old. She's getting older. So they're partnering her with like older dudes. And it's just like, I don't know. You don't have to always partner people with like people that are, I don't know. If I was pairing people up, I feel like they have an Excel sheet. And that going into the season, they go, we got this girl and this guy. Let's pair them up. And they do like kind of like a bracket of couples. Because sometimes you look at them and you're like, why did they put these two together? But
I mean, I think I'm the same age as her, so I think we could make that happen if they want to.
Well,
do that.
the big movie of the year is the Chiefs love story movie, which is the weekend of Thanksgiving. That is the big momentous occasion. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's the big one.
It certainly
That's
is.
a double weekend movie. By the way, that weekend, there's a movie Thursday, 2 Friday, 2 Saturday, and 2 Sunday. So get ready for 7 reviews from me.
Or watch football. Watch some football.
Or not.
No, your reviews are good. I joke about the movies because they're not my thing at all, but I do appreciate your love for them and the comfort they provide. All right, Lacey, anything else before we get out of here?
No, you guys are the best. Thank you so much for liking the show, listening this far in the show. If you've made it this far, I love it. And we truly appreciate you guys supporting this show as something that's outside of Star Wars, which is what we normally do. And again, share this with a friend, share this with anybody that you know that might like movies and TV. Let us know how we're doing. We really appreciate it.
Because I am a psycho when it comes to the Yankees, there probably won't be a Nerdy and Nice episode next Monday.
It's probably going to be like that the weekend of Thanksgiving when I have 7 movies to review for Hallmark. John's like, shut up.
we're already at episode 24, so we're chugging along nicely. But there will be TRB this week for Star Wars fans on Devil's Night. So Wednesday, as you're prepping for Halloween, come join us on TRB Live. I don't know if I'm going to wear a costume or anything. We'll see. But we'll be talking Star Wars Wednesday and then back with you the following week. We're taking a week off of Nerdy Nice, but we'll be back the following week after.
Maybe we'll do a super show on Wednesday because we won't have a Monday show. We'll do a longer show.
That could be interesting. A little like cross promotion for our own shows.
I was just thinking like making it 90 minutes instead of an hour.
Oh, all right. Well, either way. Brainstorm we shall. Thank you, everybody. We hope you have an awesome week. Go Yankees. And we'll see you next time right here on Nerdy and Nice. See you around, kids.